Iowa State Cyclones. Dalton, they had one of their best seasons in program history last year. They went 11-3. They made the Big 12 championship game too. That was 2 more wins than Iowa State's ever had in any of their seasons prior, and their number 15 final ranking in the AP poll was their second best finish in program history. A big reason why they were so successful last year was their passing game and their pass defense. They were inside the top 35 of EPA per pass on offense and an EPA per pass on defense. Quarterback Rocco Beck is back for another year, as well as star cornerback Jonte Williams. But they lost some superstars at wide receiver and cornerback too, with Jaden Higgins gone, Jalen Noel gone, both of them now with the Houston Texans, and cornerback Darian Porter, who's one of the best cornerbacks in college football last year too. He is now in the NFL as well. But Dawn, even after losing Darian Porter, there's still really stars everywhere in this defense for Iowa State.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, it's just become tradition at this point with Matt Campbell and this defense that they're going to be really good, and they're built from the back end up, right? When you talk about, okay, they're just recycling more and more corners when you think, okay, Jonte Williams and things like that on the back end. Even a guy like Dominique Orange at defensive tackle on the D-line. This defense is going to be really good. I mean, it's just where we're at now. They're designed to stop the pass. They're designed to stop these spread offenses, and I think that's really a foundation. I know Rocco Beck is coming back for a third year as a starter now, and he doesn't have these receivers, but the one thing that does give them that floor is this defense that Matt Campbell just continues to get athletes into every single year. I mean, it's just – and it's not just – always one superstar guy. I mean, it's just they're a team that plays such good team football defensively, and they're always on their assignments that you just love the way they go out there and keep themselves in games.
Yeah, you look at Dominique Orange, who's a defensive tackle, and cornerback Jonte Williams. Both of those guys were top 10 players in the country at their position. And then look at a guy like Caleb Bacon, too, who only played one game last year at linebacker due to a knee injury. The year before, though, in 2023, he led all Power 5 linebackers with a 91.3 run defense grade last year. So, like I said before, they have stars, defensive line, linebacker, and secondary.
Campbell's probably, in this world of the transfer portal and NIL and all this, probably the next closest thing you have to Dabo Swinney when it comes to player retention and building depth through just his own recruiting base. This is not a team that relies on the transfer portal a lot. They only bring in a handful of guys every year, and his goal is to retain as many players as possible and to build that depth and chemistry from within. So it's something that makes their program unique, and it's still working for them, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, they have a lot of stars on that defense, and a big reason why they went 11-3 last year was that defense and that secondary, and with guys like Jonte Williams and Dominique Orange coming back, they should still have a really good defense. Now, my question mark probably for Iowa State this year, Dawn, is can Rocco Beck shoulder the load offensively for this team? Because you look at it, they were one of the 25 most efficient offenses in the country last year in terms of EPA per play, but it was largely due to their 2 star receivers in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Now they're both gone, both of them actually ironically drafted by the Houston Texans, one of the cooler stories of the 2025 NFL Draft. Rocco Beck is going to be forced to carry this offense a lot more as a redshirt junior, and there are reasons to be a little pessimistic about that, right? Because he had a sub-70 passing grade in 2024, even with those 2 really good wide receivers. And the Cyclones lost not only their 2 top receivers, but also their top 2 offensive linemen are also gone from that team. And they were the 8th worst unit in the Power 4 with a 59.2 grade. So I have some questions about just how much Rocco Beck can actually carry this offense next year.
Yeah, absolutely, especially for me, the receiving core, when you talk about losing Higgins and Noel, who is going to step up? Is it going to be Eli Green, who transferred in last year from North Dakota State? Is it Chase Soule, who's coming in from East Carolina? Is it Xavier Townsend from UCF? Who is it going to be that steps up on the outside? Because for as much as we love their defense, right, and they even have a good pair of running backs that I like in Carson Hansen and Abu Sama, who can do a lot of things in the ground game, who is going to replace all of that production from one of the best pairs of receivers and probably a top 5 pair of receivers in college football last year? And you saw them both as day 2 picks, like you mentioned, to the Houston Texans. So Rocco's got to be safer with the football, and he's got to make better decisions because he's not going to have, we don't think, 2 superstars like that to rely on this year.
Tell me more about Rocco Beck in this quarterback spotlight right here.
So this is fun. The son of Anthony Beck. What is it? There's so many times where when he gets hot, he's really good. I mean, you can, especially down the seams, down the middle of the field. You see that right there the last 2 seasons. 93 passing grade on deep throws, 31 big-time throws on deep throws. He's kind of a gunslinger is what he is. And there's times where you go, man, he can attack the middle of the field. He can really hit those deep crossers, deep over routes. And even last year started to use his legs a little bit more as a rushing threat to pick up more first downs when the team needed him to scramble. But the biggest thing for me is the times when there's too much gunslinger and just making decisions, especially late in plays, that I don't need 20 turnover-worthy plays. And 15 of his 19 turnover-worthy throws were under 20 yards from the line of scrimmage, right? So it's those windows that you can't predetermine throws. You can't have, trying to throw into tight windows short towards the line of scrimmage, because those are the throws that turn into pick sixes, right? So I think what you're talking about with Rocco is decision making, especially when it gets later in the play and his first read is not there. He's got to be more careful with the football. When he's hot, he gets raging hot and he's in a rhythm and he's really good. When he gets cold, it's those decisions that could cost you a game. And even in some of their wins last year, the games were roller coasters because of these turnover-worthy plays.
Definitely. I think a guy's going to rely on a lot more in 2025 is his tight end, Benjamin Bramer. Really wasn't as effective as a sophomore last year due to a leg injury that forced him to miss 5 games, but he was really good as a true freshman. He was a 3-star recruit coming out. He led all true freshman tight ends in 2023 with 352 receiving yards, 68.4 run blocking grade 2, was 11th among all tight ends in the Power 5. He's a massive target to throw to at 6'7", and a very good athlete too. He's actually placed above the 99th percentile of our game athleticism score metric back in 2023. And with Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel both now gone in the NFL, Benjamin Bramer could have a really big bounce back year as a junior and even be the top target for Rocco Beck in that offense.
Talk about replacing production over the middle of the field. This is the guy that's going to have to do it, I think.
Kind of reminds me, Charlie Kohler was at Iowa State.
That's a good call. Yeah, with
tight end.
With Brock Purdy, another big tight end who's carved out a nice NFL career for himself. Yeah. If Bramer can put up the same, I don't know if he'll put up some of the same record-setting numbers there that Kohler did back when he was there, but you talk about that type of player at 6'7". If you're trying to replace production up the seams, last year especially was Jalen Noel flying down the field with the speed. This time you got a big catch radius to work with. If you're Rocco Beck, that's where I'm looking, is Ben Bramer right over the middle of the field while the other guys win on the outside.
As I mentioned before, they had a great receiving core last year and a great secondary. Big reason why they won 11 games last year. And yes, they lost a lot of talent in both those aspects, but they also have a top returning corner too.
So many of them, right? It's just we get this run of Iowa State defensive backs. It was Anthony Johnson. It was TJ Tampa. It was Darian Porter this past year. Let's get another one. He's not the big freak like Darian Porter was, but Jonte Williams, about 5'11", 200 pounds. Tell you what, he's got really good instincts on the outside. He can play in press man, but you've mentioned this, before. His eyes in zone coverage, man, oh man. I mean, that's what impresses you. He's got quick feet, and he's got really good eyes that read the quarterback well, and he gets to the football, and he's competitive to the football. Iowa State nowadays, it feels like, has a million defensive backs that they coach really, really well. We've seen it the last few years. Jonte Williams is a guy on the outside that another one you're going to be looking at, especially for his coverage technique and his intelligence. We're going to be looking at as an NFL player come this time next year because he's really good on the outside. This team constantly, I think it's really the best part of their team. Last year, obviously, you had Higgins and Noel, but the consistent production from their secondary and guys like Jonte Williams is the reason that Iowa State keeps themselves in games and generally does not get shredded in the passing game every single week.
They always seem to have defensive backs that you know personally, too, right? Anthony Johnson, TJ Tampa.
I got to coach Johnson. I got to coach against Tampa. I don't know Darian Porter, so that's that's one thing. But at least getting to scout him here at PFF, that counts for something,
cool.
right?
Coaching Anthony Johnson,
So our defensive coordinator down at St. Pete, very tight with Matt Campbell because of all those connections. And, just they're a program that emphasizes having those smart, well-taught defensive backs. The same way that Coach Davis did down at St. Pete, just fantastic at teaching DBs. That was his pride and joy, was his secondary.
You're hyping yourself up right there. They want smart, well-taught defensive backs, so they take my players right here.
Well, you're darn right. I'll give my guy, Coach Sean Davis, all the credit for that one because that was his secondary and everything in his defense worked from the back to the front. Yeah. And that's why, again, I think Matt Campbell, his defenses work the same way. They got three defensive linemen on the field, and that's it on any given play. They work from back to front, and they're one of the best in the country at preventing exposure explosives.
Matt Campbell might have Sean on speed dial saying, hey, anytime you have a top defensive back, just hit me up.
Oh, yeah. Where's the next one? Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense. My favorite stat for Jonte Williams, though, only a 19.6 passer rating allowed last year. That was 20 points better than spiking the ball every play, which nets a 39.6 rating. So that 19.6 pass rating allowed was fourth among all corners in the country last year. Dalton, will Iowa State once again be a top contender in the Big 12 to win the conference? Their win total right now is set at 7.5 right now. What do you think for the Iowa State Cyclones? Are they going over or under? What's the bottom line for this team?
Boy, what a huge game they got to play in week 1 against Kansas State out in Ireland, huh? I mean, that's going to set the tone for the whole season. And then 2 weeks later, of course, the rivalry against Iowa. But I think there's a lot of winnable games on this schedule, and I like 7.5, you said, right?
Yeah.
I do like the floor that this team has with their defense, and I think an underrated running back duo is Carson Hansen and Abu Sama in the backfield. Now, I don't think they're going to be as explosive on offense. I don't think I'm going to take them to be in the Big 12 title game this year again. But I could see I think I see a scenario where they get over into that 8-9 win range over that 7.5.
Yeah.
There's a couple of big games. The K-State game leading off is massive to set the tone of the entire season for both teams. The Iowa game is always competitive. We saw that again last year. So I think they came through in the clutch in a lot of moments last year to get them to the Big 12 title game. I'm going to take a little step back, but I'll still take the over 7.5. Give me that 8-9 win range for Iowa State.
It is the third hardest schedule in the Big 12, but I'm taking the over for Iowa State too. I think they'll go over 7.5 and win at least 8 or 9 games next year. Maybe still compete at the top of the Big 12 conference, considering how wide open that conference is next year.
They've just built a good program. I think that's what it comes down to. Is I just like Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State, I just go, they're going to find a way to win a pretty good amount of games with Matt Campbell as the head coach.
Give Matt Campbell credit, man. I mean, in today's day and age of NIL and the portal, and Iowa State resource-wise probably isn't up there with some of the best in the country. Campbell consistently just has guys that stay in that program. Not a lot of guys transfer out of that program. Just speaks to the culture that he built in the Iowa State football program, and it's why this is right now the best stretch they've ever had in the program history has been under Matt Campbell. So credit to him, man, because it's really been awesome to see what kind of the culture and the kind of program he's been able to build at Iowa State, who was actually, Dalton, was one of the bigger laughingstocks in college football before he took over at Iowa State. And now he's made it a really respectable and now a contender in the Big 12 conference. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.